and an L afterwards, right? Words with just an S and a T, mostly we pronounce them, right? We have, for example, fast, faster, fastest, we pronounce all of those T's, right? West, we pronounce the T. Mist, host, must. There's a lot of words that we can think of where we have just the S and the T, and we pronounce the T. Sometimes we could compare this with F and T, like we have after, but often. So that one could be, if you look at that one. But if you look at these S's, okay, that's easy to remember, right? S, T, L, too many sounds. We drop the T. Okay. Are there any places that you can think of where we also do something like this? Any places where maybe it ends with the L-E and we have to drop something? Like, how do you pronounce this word? Island. Yeah. So that S and L also seems to have a relationship. Okay. So again, there are a lot of things that you can start looking at once you start asking the question. So there are a few more patterns we could add to this, but if you can remember to ask, okay, if the word seems to behave weird, can you find other words that have almost the same spelling? So we have silk, we have ilk, we have milk. They are all consistent, right? We want to look at the letter right before and right after. Usually those are the most important ones. And then try to find enough that you can make a good guess what will happen the next time you see a word like that. So, a lot of these also, it's like the Chinese question, you know, simplified Chinese and standard Chinese, right? And on the mainland, they use the easy characters. And a lot of people say, oh, that's really good. It makes it easier to write. But you lose information, right? When you take away all of the extra parts of the character, then it's harder to say where that word comes from, what word it's related to. So it's similar in English. If you try to, you know, like a lot of the new English concepts, you know, things like that, they try to make things easier. I've seen people try to fix the spelling. You know, make the spelling easier. You don't need all of the silent letters. But the problem then is we lose the connection with other words. So, why is there an S if we don't say it? And it comes from a language where we do pronounce it, but this also gives us related ideas in English. To isolate someone means to separate them, make them all on their own, put them on an island, right? So these words have that connection. If we lose that spelling, we lose the relationship. So the word loses its value. Okay, so again, there are always questions you can ask like why? Why keep the sounds? Why keep the letters? For the ogres, how about just have a quick look at the bottom part there? We didn't read part with the star yet. So, want to read that part together? In many stories. Mm-hmm. I said those are ogres, they're not giants.
What about the titan? Because
Oh, I mean the word titan. Oh, okay. Yeah, when we talk about titans, we see this in a couple other places. You guys know the story about, there's this big ship that went across the ocean. People say it would never sink, and then it hits an iceberg and it sinks, right? And most of the people died because they were like, we're not going to sink. This ship is unsinkable. And then they died because the ship sank, right? What was that ship called? Titanic, right? We use this as an adjective to mean something that is really, really big, right? So even there, we have some understanding of that word. The word titan originally meant really big people, but which kind of people in the very old world, which kinds of people would be really big? What would we be thinking of? Gods, right? So in the Greek tradition and in the Latin one as well, the Roman one, we had the gods up in Olympus, right? Up at the top of the world, looking down. They had their own little special place. And then some of their children, the Titans, which were these huge, monstrous people, they tried to fight against the gods. They could because they were huge people, right? So in that word titan, we have the idea of the size, but we also have the idea of beings of great power. So you guys have seen the Marvel movies, yeah? Like the Avengers, yeah, thanks. Who's the big bad guy in the Avengers? Right, and what do they call him?
He comes from Titan.
Right? Right? He's supposed, or they call him a Titan, as a person from the planet Titan, from that place. They use that word because it has this association with not just size, but also great strength. Okay? So, yeah, Titans then would be those creatures, not people eaters. The Titans did not eat people. The Titans actually tried to help people in a lot of places. They were in a lot of ways what people thought they could be without the gods. So they were actually supposed to be the good guys. And then, the story about where we got fire? According to the Greek tradition, Prometheus, yeah, right? Prometheus was a Titan. And then and his name actually means that he came first. He's from the beginning, because he gave people fire, sorry, you can see. That's why the gods punished him, and yeah. So his story is actually really kind of sad because they tied him up to this big rock, all right? And then there were these eagles that came and they ate his liver. And then every day it would grow back and the eagles would come again and eat it again. So, yeah.
It's the first story I heard that the gods are not usually good.
Well, the Titans tried to challenge the gods. The thing about those original gods, the Greek and the Roman gods, is people made them up. So they were just like people. There were gods who were good and gods who were bad, and they were all proud and they all wanted to be powerful. So they fought against each other, just like people do. So that's one of the problems when people make gods, is that we make them look like us, right? But if God makes us, then we look like him, which is far better.
Like
So,
which is the chicken?
the chicken and the egg.
Okay.
Well, in this case, it's pretty clear which one came first. Yeah. But okay. So, yeah, good question. Do you want to do another story? We can. We still have time for another one. So, griffins, dragons, trolls.
Very good.
You want to do that one next?
First born like fighting Satan.
Okay. So, who is that? Did we do this one before or no?
Neither.
Okay, yeah. So, that okay with you, girls? So this one is a fair bit more straightforward, so it should be easy enough to read through.
Well,
It's the one I usually start with my students, so. Okay, I will go ahead and read it all together. Those just, you can read them on Griffin. Griffin and Griffin are the most common ways. Okay. All creatures, yeah. Okay. So, this one here, you got the picture.